Book 1. The Rage of Achilles. Rage, goddess, sing the rage of Peleus' son Achilles, murderous doomed, that cost the Achaeans countless losses, hurling down to the house of death so many sturdy souls, great fighter souls, but made their bodies carrion, feast for the dogs and birds, and the will of Zeus was moving toward its end. Begin muse when the two first broke and clashed, Agamemnon, lord of men, and brilliant Achilles. What god drove them to fight with such a fury? Apollo, the son of Zeus and Leto. Incensed at the king, he swept a fatal plague through the army. Men were dying, and all because Agamemnon spurned Apollo's priest. Yes, crises approached the Achaeans' fast ships, to win his daughter back, bringing a priceless ransom, and bearing high in hand, wound on a golden staff, the wreaths of the god, the deadly distant archer. He begged the whole Achaean army, but most of all, the two supreme commanders, Atreus' two sons, Agamemnon, Menelaus, all Argives geared for war. May the gods who hold the halls of Olympus give you Priam city to plunder, then safe passage home. Just set my daughter free, my dear one. Here, accept these gifts, this ransom. Honor the god who strikes from worlds away, the son of Zeus Apollo. And all ranks of Achaeans cried out their assent. Respect the priests, accept the shining ransom. But it brought no joy to the heart of Agamemnon. The king dismissed the priests with the brutal order ring in his ears. Never again, old man, let me catch sight of you by the hollow ships. Not loitering now, not slinking back tomorrow. The staff and the wreaths of God will never save you then. The girl, I won't give up the girl. Long before that old age will overtake her in my house, in Argos far from her fatherland, slaving back and forth at the loom, forced to share my bed. Now go, don't tempt my wrath, and you may depart alive. The old man was terrified. He obeyed the order, turning, trailing away in silence down the shore, where the battle lines of breakers crash and drag, and moving off to a safe distance over and over, the old priest prayed to the son of sleek-haired Leto. Lord Apollo, hear me, Apollo, god of the silver bow, who strides the worlds of Chryses and Scylla sacrosanct, Lord and power of Tenedos, Smithius, son of the plague, if I ever roofed a shrine to please your heart, ever burned the long rich bones of bulls and goats on your holy altar now bring my prayer to pass, pay the Danans back, your arrows for my tears. His prayer went up, and Phoebus Apollo heard him. Down he strode from Olympus' peak, storming at heart, with his bow and hooded quiver slung across his shoulders. The arrows clanged at his back as the god quaked with rage at the god himself. On the march, and down he came like night. Over against the ships he dropped to, and he let fly a shaft, and a terrifying clash rang out from the great silver bow. First he ran for the mules and circling dogs, but then, launching a piercing shaft at the men themselves, he cut them down in droves, and the corpse fires burned on day and night, no end in sight. 9 days the arrows of God swept through the army. On the 10th Achilles called all ranks to muster. The impulse seized them, sent by white-armed Hera, grieving to see the Achaean fighters dropped and die. Once they'd gathered, crowding the meeting ground, the swift runner Achilles rose and spoke among them. Son of Atreus, now we are beaten back. I fear the long campaign is lost, so home we sail. If we can escape our death, if war and plague are joining forces now to crush the Argives. But wait, let us question a holy man, a prophet. Even a man skilled with dreams as well, can come our way from Zeus. Come, someone tell us why Apollo rages so, whether he blames us for a vow we failed or sacrifice. If only God would share the smoky savor of lambs and full-grown goats, Apollo might be willing still somehow to save us from this plague. So he proposed, and down he sat on his Calchas rose among them, Thestor's son, the clearest by far of all the seers, who scanned the flight of birds. He knew all things that are past, and all that are to come. The seer who had led the Argive ships to Troy, with the second sight that Apollo gave him, the god, for the army's good, the seer began to speak. Achilles, dear to Zeus, you order me to explain Apollo's anger, the deadly distant archer. I will tell it all, but strike a pact with me. Swear you will defend me with all your heart, with words and strength of hand. For there is a man I will enrage, I see it now, a powerful man who lords it over all the Argives. One the Achaeans must obey, a mighty king. Raging against an inferior is too strong. Even if he can swallow down his wrath today, still he will nurse the burning in his chest, until sooner or later he sends it bursting forth. Consider it closely, Achilles, will you save me? And the matchless runner reassured him, courage! Out with it now, Calchas, reveal the will of God, whatever you may know, and I swear by Apollo, dear to Zeus, the power you pray to, Calchas, when you reveal God's will to the Argives, no one, not while I am alive and see the light on earth, nobody, will lay his heavy hands on you by the hollow ships. None among the armies, not even if you mean Agamemnon here, who now claims to be by far the best of the Achaeans. The seer took heart, and this time he spoke out bravely. Beware, he cast no blame, for a vow he failed, a sacrifice the gods enraged because Agamemnon spurned his priest. He refused to free his daughter, he refused the ransom. That's why the archer sends us pains, and he will send us more, and never drive the shameful destruction from the Argives, not till we give back the girl with sparkling eyes to her loving father. No price, no ransom paid, and carry a sacred 100 bulls to the Chrysi town. Then we can calm the god, and only to appease him. So he declared and sat down, but among them rose the fighting son of Atreus, lord of the far-flung kingdoms, Agamemnon, furious, his heart dark full to the brim, blazing with anger now, his eyes searing like fire. With the sudden killing look he wheeled on Calchas first. Seer of misery, never a word that works to my advantage, always misery warms your heart, your prophecies, never word a prophet said to brought or pass. Now again you divine God's will for the armies, brooded about as fact, why the deadly archer multiplies our pains, because I refused the glittering price for the young girl Chryses. Indeed, I prefer her by far, the girl herself. I want her mine in my own house, I rank her higher than Clytemnestra, my wedded wife. She's nothing less in built or breeding, in mind or works of hand. But I am willing to give her back, even so, if that is best for all. What I really want is to keep my people safe, not to see them dying. But fetch me another prize, and straight off too, else I alone of the Argives go without my honor. That would be a disgrace. You are all witness. Look, my prize is snatched away. But the swift runner Achilles answered him at once. Just how Agamemnon, great field marshal, most grasping man alive, how can the generous Argives give you prizes now? I know of no troves of treasure piled, lying idle anywhere. Whatever we dragged from towns we plundered, all's been portioned out. But collect it, call it back from the rank and file, that would be the disgrace. So return the girl to the god, at least for now. We Achaeans will pay you back 3-4 times over, if Zeus will grant us the gifts somehow, some day, to raise Troy's massive ramparts to the ground. But King Agamemnon countered, not so quickly, brave as you are, godlike Achilles trying to cheat me. Oh no, you won't get past me, take me in that way. What do you want, to cling to your own prize, while I sit calmly by, entered empty-handed here? Is that why you ordered me to give her back? No. If our generous Argives will give me a prize, a match for my desires, equal to what I've lost, well and good. But if they give me nothing, I will take a prize myself, your own, or Ajax, or Odysseus' prize. I'll command her myself, and let that man I go to visit choke with rage. Enough, we'll deal with all this later in due time. Now come, we haul a black ship down to the bright sea, gather a number of oarsmen along her locks, and put aboard a sacrifice in Christ sees herself in all her beauty, we embark her too. Let one of the leading captains take command, Ajax, Idomeneus, trusty Odysseus, or you, Achilles, you the most violent man alive, so you can perform the rites for us and calm the god yourself. A dark glance and the headstrong runner answered him in kind, shameless, armored in shamelessness, always shrewd with greed. How could any Argive soldier obey your orders? Freely and gladly do your sailing, for you or fight your enemies full force. Not I, no. It wasn't Trojan spearmen who brought me here to fight. The Trojans never did me damage, not in the least. They never stole my cattle or my horses, never. In Pythia, where the rich soil breeds strong men, did they lay waste my crops? How could they? Look at the endless miles that lie between us. Shadowy mountain ranges sees the surge and thunder. No, you colossal, shameless, we all followed you to please you, to fight for you, to win your honor back from the Trojans. Menelaus and you dog face. What do you care? Nothing. You don't look right or left, and now you threaten to strip me of my pride in person. The one I fought for long and hard, and sons of Achaia handed her to me. My honors never equal yours whenever we Saxon wealthy Trojan stronghold mounds bear the brunt of the raw savage fighting. True, but when it comes to dividing up the plundered lion share is yours, and I go back to my ships clutching some scratch, some pittance that I love when I have fought to exhaustion. No more now, back I go to Pythia, better that way by far to journey home in the beaked ships of war. I have no mind to linger here, disgraced, brimming your cup and piling up your plunder. But the lord of men, Agamemnon, shot back, desert by all means if the spirit drives you home. I will never beg you to stay, not on my account, never. Others will take my side and do me honor, Zeus above all, whose wisdom rule the world. You, I hate you most of all the warlords, loved by the gods, always dear to your heart, strife, yes, and battles, the bloody grind of war. What if you are a great soldier? That's just a gift of God. Go home with your ships and comrades, lord it over you, Myrmidons, you are nothing to me, you and your overweening anger. But let this be my warning on your way, since Apollo insists on taking my Chryses, I'll send her back in my own ships with my crew. But I will be there in person at your tents, to take Briseis away in all her beauty, your own prize, so you can learn just how greater I am than you, and the next man up may shrink from matching words with me, from hoping to rival Agamemnon strength for strength. He broke off in anguish, gripped Achilles. The heart in his rugged chest was pounding, torn. Should he draw a long, sharp sword slung at his hip, thrust through the ranks and kill Agamemnon now, or check his rage and beat his fury down? As his racing spirit veered back and forth, just as he drew his huge blade from its sheath, down from the vaulting heaven swept Athena, the white-armed goddess Hera sped her down. Hera loved both men and cared for both alike. Rearing behind him, Pallas seized his fiery hair. Only Achilles saw her. None of the other fighters. Struck with wonder, he spun around. He knew her at once. Pallas, Athena, the terrible blazing of those eyes. And the winged words went flying. Why? Why now? Child of Zeus with the shield of thunder, why come now? To witness the outrage Agamemnon has committed. I tell you this, and so it's help me in the truth. He'll soon pay for his arrogance with his life. Her gray eyes clear, the goddess Athena answered, down from the skies I come to check your rage, if only you would wield. The white-armed goddess Hera sped me down, she loves you both, she cares for you both alike. Stop this fighting now, don't lay hand to sword. Lash him with threats of the price that he will face, and I will tell you this, and I know it is the truth. One day glittering gifts will lie before you 3 times over to pay you for this outrage. Hold back now, obey us both. So she urged, and the swift runner complied at once. I must. When the two of you hand down commands, goddess a man submits through, though his heart breaks with fury. Better for him by far if a man obeys the gods. They're quick to hear his prayers. And with that Achilles stayed his burly hand on the silver hilt and slid the huge blade back in its sheath. He would not fight the orders of Athena soaring home to Olympus. She rejoined the gods, aloft in the halls of Zeus, whose shield is thunder. But Achilles rounded on Agamemnon once again, lashing out at him, not relaxing his anger for a moment. Staggering drunk with your dog's eyes, your fawn's heart, never once did you arm with the troops and go to battle, or risk an ambush placed with Achaea's picked men. You lack the courage, you can see death coming safer before you find to fray through the camp, commandeering the prize of any man who speaks against you. King who devours his people, worthless hucks the men you rule, if not Atreides. This outrage would have been your last. I tell you this, and I swear a mighty oath upon it. By this sceptre look that never again will put forth crown and branches. Now it's left its stump on the mountain ridge forever, nor will it sprout new green again. Now the brazen axe has stripped its bark and leaves, and now the sons of Achaea pass it back and forth as they hand judgments down, upholding the honored customs whenever Zeus commands. This sceptre will be the mighty force behind my oath. Some day I swear a yearning for Achilles will strike, Achaea's sons and all your armies. But then, Atreides, harrowed as you may be, nothing you do can save you, not when your hordes of fighters drop and die, cut down by the hands of man-killing Hector. Then you will tear your heart out, desperate raging that you disgrace the best of Achaeans. Down on the ground he dashed his sceptre, studded bright with golden nails. Then took his seat again the son of Atreus, smoldered, glaring across him, but Nestor rose between them, the man of winning words, the clear speaking of Pylos, sweeter than honey from his tongue. The voice flowed on and on. 2 generations of mortal men he had seen go down by now, those who were born and bred with him in the old days. In Pylos' holy realm now he ruled the third. He pleaded with both kings with clear good will. No more or enormous sorrow will come to all Achaea. How would they exult Priam and Priam's sons and all the Trojans? Oh, how they leap for joy to hear the two of you battling on in this way. You who excel us all, first in Achaean councils, first in the ways of war. Stop, please, listen to Nestor. You are both younger than I, and in my time I struck up with better men than you. Even you, but never once did they make light of me. I've never seen such men, and I never will again. Men like Pirithous, Dreus, that fine captain, Caneus and Exodus, and Polyphemus, royal prince, and Theseus, aegis boy, a match for the immortals. They were the strongest mortals ever bred on earth, the strongest, and they fought against the strongest too. Shaggy centaurs, wild brutes of the mountains, they hacked them down, terrible, deadly work. And I was in their ranks, fresh out of Pylos, far away from home. They enlisted me themselves, and I fought on my own, a freelance, single-handed. And none of the men who walk the earth these days could battle with those fighters, none but they. But they took to my counsels, marked my words. So now you listen to yielding is far better. Don't seize the girl Agamemnon, powerful as you are. Leave her just as sons of Achaea gave her his prize from the very first. And you, Achilles, never hope to fight it out with your king, pitting force against force. No one can match the honors dealt the king, you know, a sceptred king to whom great Zeus gives glory. Strong as you are, a goddess was your mother. He has more power because he rules over more men. Atreides, and your anger, look, it's Nestor. I beg you, cool your fury against Achilles here. The man stands above all Achaea's armies, our rugged bulwark, braced for shocks of war. But King Agamemnon answered him in haste. True, old man, all you say is fit and proper, but this soldier wants to tower over the armies. He wants to rule over all, to lord it over all, to give out orders to every man in sight. Well, there's no one I trust who will never yield to him. What if the everlasting gods have made a spearman of him? Have they entitled him to hurl abuse at me? Yes, blazing Achilles broke in quickly. What a worthless burnt a coward I'd been called if I would submit to you and all your orders. Whatever you blurt out, fling them at others, don't give me commands. Never again, I trust, will Achilles yield to you. And I tell you this, take it to heart, I warn you. My hands will never do battle for that girl, neither with you, king, nor any man alive. You Achaeans gave her, now you've snatched her back, but all the rest I possess beside my fastback ship. Not one bit of it can you seize against my will. Atreides, come try it, so the men can see that instant your black blood gush and spurt around my spear. Once the two had fought it out with words, battling face to face, both sprang to their feet and broke up the muster beside the Argive squadrons. Achilles strode off to his trim ships and shelters, back to his friend Patroclus and their comrades. Agamemnon had a vessel hauled down to the sea. He picked out 20 oarsmen to man her locks, put aboard the cattle for sacrifice to the god, and led Chryses in all her beauty midships. Versatile Odysseus took the helm as captain. All embarked, the party launched out on the sea's foaming lanes, while the son of Atreus told his troops to wash, to purify themselves from the filth of plague. They scoured it off through scourings in the surf, and sacrificed to Apollo full-grown bulls and goats. Along the beaten shore of the foul barren sea, and savory smoke went swirling up the skies. So the men were engaged throughout the camp. But King Agamemnon would not stop the quarrel. The first threat he hurled against Achilles. He called Tethybius and Eurybatus briskly, his two heralds, ready, willing aids. Go to Achilles' lodge, take Briseis at once, his beauty Briseis by the hand, and bring her there. But if he will not surrender her, I'll go myself. I'll seize her myself with an army at my back, and all the worse for him. He sent them off with strict order ringing in their ears. Against their will the two men made their way along the breaking surf of the barren salt sea, and reached the Myrmidon shelters in their ships. They found him beside his lodge and black hull, seated grimly, and Achilles took no joy when he saw the two approaching. They were afraid. They held the king in awe and stood there silent, not a word to Achilles, not a question. But he sensed it in all his heart, their fear, their charge, and broke the silence for them. Welcome, couriers, good heralds of Zeus and men, here, come closer. You have done nothing to me, you are not to blame. No one but Agamemnon, he is the one who sent you for Briseis. Go, Patroclus, prince, bring out the girl and hand her to them so they can take her back. But let them both bear witness to my loss in the face of blissful gods and mortal men, in the face of that unbending, ruthless king, if the day should come when the armies need me to save their ranks from ignominious dark defeat. The man is raving with all the murderous fury in his heart. He lacks the sense to see a day behind, a day ahead, and safeguard the Achaeans battling by the ships. Patroclus obeyed his great friend's command. He led Briseis in all her beauty from the lodge, and handed her over to the men to take away. And the two walked back along the Argive ships, while she trailed on behind, reluctant every step. But Achilles wept, and slipping away from his companions far apart, sat down on the beach of the heaving grey sea, and scanned the endless ocean, reaching out his arms. Again and again he prayed to his dear mother, Mother, you gave me life, short as that life will be, so released Olympian Zeus, thundering up on high, should give me honor, but now he gives me nothing. Atreus' son Agamemnon, for all his far-flung kingdoms, the man disgraces me, seizes and keeps my prize. He tears her away himself. So he wept and prayed, and his noble mother heard him, seated near her father, the old man of the sea in the salt green depths. Suddenly up she rose from the churning surf, like mist, and settling down beside him as he wept, stroked Achilles gently, whispering his name's my child, why in tears? What sorrow has touched your heart? Please tell me, please, don't harbor it deep inside you, we must share it all. And now from his depths the proud runner groaned, you know why I labor through it all, you know it all so well, we raided Thebes twice, Edion's sacred citadel, we ravaged the place, hauled all the plunder here, and the armies passed it round, share and share alike, and they chose her beauty Chryses for Agamemnon. But soon her father, the holy priest of Apollo, the deadly distant archer, Chryses, approached the fast-trimmed ships of the Argives, armed in bronze, to win his daughter back, bringing a priceless ransom, and bearing high in hand, wound on a golden staff, the wreaths of the god who strikes from worlds away. He begged the whole Achaean army, but most of all the two supreme commanders, Atreus' two sons, and all the ranks of Achaeans cried out their assent, respect the priests, accept the shining ransom. But it brought no joy to the heart of Agamemnon, our high and mighty king dismissed the priest with the brutal order ringing in his ears, and shattered with anger the old man withdrew. But Apollo heard his prayer, he loved him deeply, he loosed his shaft at the Argives' withering plague. And now the troops began to drop and die in droves, the arrows of the god went showering left and right, whipping through the Achaeans' vast encampment. But the old seer who knew the cause full well revealed the will of the archer god Apollo. And I was the first mother, I urged them all, appease the god at once. That's when the fury gripped the son of Atreus. Agamemnon leapt to his feet and hurled his threat. His threat's been driven home. One girl, Chryses the fire-dyed, Achaeans ferry out in a fast-trimmed ship to Chryses island, laden with presents for the god. The other girl, just now the heralds came and led her from my camp. Briseis' daughter, the prize the armies gave me. But you, mother, if you have any power at all, protect your son. Go to Olympus, plead with Zeus. If you ever warms his heart with the word or any action, time and time again I heard your claims in father's hall, boasting how you and you alone of all the immortals rescued Zeus, the lord of dark storm clouds, from ignominious stark defeat. The day the Olympians trying to chain him down, Hera, Poseidon, lord of sea and Pallas, Athena, you rushed to Zeus, dear goddess, broke those chains, quickly ordered the 100-hander to steep Olympus, the monster whom the immortals call Briareus. But every mortal calls the sea god sons Aegeon. Although he's stronger than his father, down he sat, flanking Cronus, son Gargantuan, in the glory of it all. Then the blessed gods were struck with terror, then they stopped shackling Zeus. Remind him of that now, go and sit beside him, grasp his knees, persuade him somehow to help the Trojans' cause, to pin the Achaeans back against their ships, trap them round the bay, and mow them down, so all can reap the benefits of their king. So even a mighty Atreides can see how mad he was to disgrace Achilles, best of the Achaeans. And Thetis answered, bursting into tears, O my son, my sorrow, how did I ever bear you? All I bore was doom. Would to God you could linger by your ships without a grief, in the world without a torment, doomed to a short life. You have so little time, and not only short now, but filled with heartbreak too. More than all the other men alive, doomed twice over. Ah, to a cruel fate I bore you in our halls. Still I shall go to Olympus crowned with snow, and repeat your prayer to Zeus, who loves the lightning. Perhaps he will be persuaded. But you, my child, stay here by the fast ships, rage on at the Achaeans, just keep clear of every foray in the fighting. Only yesterday Zeus went off to Ocean River to feast with the Ethiopians, loyal lordly men, and all the gods went with him. But in 12 days the father returns to Olympus. Then for your sake up I go to the bronze floor, the royal house of Zeus. I'll grasp his knees. I think I'll win him over. With that vow his mother went away and left him here alone, his heart inflamed for the sashed and lovely girl they'd wrenched away from him against his will. Meanwhile Odysseus drew in close to Chryse island, bearing the splendid sacrifice in the vessel's hold, and once they had entered the harbor deep in bays, they furled and stowed the sail. In the black ship they lowered the mast by the forestay smoothly, quickly let it down on the forked mast crotch, and rowed her into mooring under oars. Out went the bow, stones, cable fast astern, and the crews themselves swung out in the breaking surf, leading out the sacrifice for the archer god Apollo. And out of the deep sea ship Chryse stepped to, then tactful Odysseus led her up to the altar, placing her in her loving father's arms, and said, Chryses, lord of men, has Agamemnon has sent me here to bring your daughter back and perform a sacrifice, a grand sacrifice to Apollo, for all Achaea's sake, so we can appease the god who's loosed such grief and torment on the Argives. With those words he left her in Chryse's arms, and the priest embraced the child he loved exultant. At once the men arranged the sacrifice for Apollo, making the cattle ring his well-built altar. They rinsed their hands and took a barley rising among them. Chryse stretched her arms to the sky and prayed in a high resounding voice, "Hear me, Apollo, god of the silver bow, who strides the worlds of Chryses and Celia sacrosanct, Lord and power of Tenedos. If you honored me last time and heard my prayer, and rained destruction down on all Achaea's ranks, now bring my prayer to pass once more. Now at last drive this killing plague from the armies of Achaea." His prayer went up, and Phoebus Apollo heard him. As soon as the men had prayed and flung the barley, first they lifted back the heads of the victims, slicked their throats, skinned them, then carved away the meat from the thigh bones and wrapped them in fat, a double folded, sliced clean, and topped with strips of flesh. And the old man burned these over the dry split wood, and over the quarters poured out glistening wine, while young men at his side held 5-pronged forks. Once they burned the bones, they tasted the organs, they cut the rest into pieces, pierced them with spits, roasted them to a turn, and pulled them off the fire. The work done, the feast laid out, they ate well, and no man's hunger shared. Of the banquet, when they had put aside desire for food and drink, the young man brimmed the mixing bowls with wine, and tipped first drops for the god in every cup. They poured 4 rounds for all, and all day long they appeased the god with song, raising and ringing him to the distant archer god who drives away the plague. These young Achaean warriors singing out his power, and Apollo listened, his great heart warm with joy. Then when the sun went down and night came on, they made their beds and slept by the stern cables. When young Dawn with her rose-red fingers shone once more, they set sail for the main encampment of Achaea. The archer sent them with the bracing following wind. They stepped the mast, spread the white sails wide and wind full, and then the canvas bellied out, and a dark blue wave foaming at the bow sang out loud and strong as the ship made way, skimming across the white caps, cutting toward the goal. And once offshore off Achaea's vast encampment, they eased her in and hauled the black ship high. Far upon the sand and shored up with their timbers, they scattered each to his own ship and shelter. But he raged on, gripedly camped by his vast fleet, the royal son of Peleus, the swift runner Achilles. Now he no longer haunted the meeting grounds where men win glory. Now he no longer went to war, but day after day he ground his heart out, waiting there, yearning, always yearning for battle cries and combat. But now, as the 12th dawn after this shone clear, the gods who live forever marched home to Olympus, all in the long cortege, and Zeus led them on. And Thetis did not forget her son's appeal. She broke from a cresting wave that first light, and soaring up to the broad sky and Mount Olympus, found the son of Cronus gazing down the world, peaks apart from the other gods, and seated high on the topmost crown of rugged, rigid Olympus, and crouching down at his feet, quickly grasping her knees with her left hand, her right hand holding him underneath the chin, she prayed to the Lord God Zeus, the son of Cronus. "Zeus, Father Zeus, if I ever served you well among the deathless gods with the word or action, bring this prayer to pass. Honor my son Achilles, doomed to the shortest life of any man on earth. And now the Lord of men has disgraced him, seizes and keeps his prize, tears her away himself, but you exalt him, Olympian Zeus, your urgings rule the world. Come, grant Trojans victory after victory, till the Achaean armies pay my dear son back, building higher the honor he deserves." She paused, but Zeus, who commands the storm clouds, answered nothing. The father sat there silent, it seemed an eternity, but Thetis, clasping his knees, held on clinging, pressing her question once again. "Grant my prayer once and for all, Father, bow your head in assent, or deny me outright. What have you to fear? So I may know too well just how cruelly I am the most dishonored goddess of them all. Filled with anger. Zeus, who marshals the storm clouds, answered her at last. Disaster, you will drive me into war with Hera. She will provoke me, she with her shrill abuse. Even now, in the face of all the immortal gods, she harrows me perpetually, hard charges me, that I always go to battle for the Trojans. Away with you now, Hera might catch us here. I will see to this, I will bring it all to pass. Look, I will bow my head if that will satisfy you. Let I remind you that among the mortal gods, it is the strongest, truest sign I can give. No word or work of mine, nothing can be revoked. There is no treachery, nothing left unfinished. Once I bow my head to say it shall be done. So he decreed, and Zeus, the son of Cronus, bowed his craggy dark brows, and the deathless locks came pouring down from the thunderhead of the great immortal king, and giant shock waves spread through all Olympus. So the two of them made their pact and parted. Deep in the sea she drove for the radiant Mount Olympus. Zeus went back to his own halls, and all the gods in full assembly rose from their seats at once to meet the father striding toward them now. None dared remain at rest. As Zeus advanced, they all sprang up to meet him face to face, as he took his place before them on his throne. But Hera knew them all. She had seen how Thetis, the old man of the sea's daughter, Thetis, quick on her glistening feet, was hatching plans with Zeus. And suddenly Hera taunted the father son of Cronus. So who of the gods this time, my treacherous one, who has hatched plans with you? Always your pleasure when my back is turned to settle things in your glistening way. You never deign, do you, freely and frankly, to share your plots with me? Never, not a word. The father of men and gods replied sharply, Hera, stop hoping to fathom all my thoughts. You will find them a trial, though you are my wife. Whatever is right for you to hear, no one, trust me, will know of it before you, neither god nor man, whatever I choose to plan apart from all the gods. No more of your everlasting questions, probe and pry, no more. And Hera, the queen, her dark eyes wide, exclaimed, Dread majesty, son of Cronus, what are you saying now? Surely I've never probed or pried in the past. Why, you can scheme to your heart's content without a qualm in the world for me, but now I have a terrible fear that she has won you over. Thetis, the old man of the sea's daughter, Thetis, with her glistening feet. I know it. Just at dawn she knelt down beside you and grasped your knees, and I suspect you bowed your head in assent to her. You granted once and all to exalt the Achilles now. In slaughter halls hordes of Achaeans pinned against their ships, and Zeus, who marshals the thunderheads, returned. Maddening one, you and your eternal suspicions, I can never escape you. Ah, but tell me, Hera, just what can you do about all this? Nothing. Only estrange yourself from me a little more, and all the worse for you. If what you say is true, that must be my pleasure. Now go, sit down, be quiet now, obey my orders, for fear the gods. However many Olympus holds are powerless to protect you when I come to throttle you down with my irresistible hands. He subsided, but Hera, the queen, her eyes wide, was terrified. She sat in silence. She wrenched her will to his, and throughout the halls of Zeus, the gods of heaven quaked with fear. Hephaestus, the master craftsman, rose up to harangue them all, trying now to bring his loving mother a little comfort. The white-armed goddess Hera, oh, disaster, that's what it is, and it will be unbearable if the two of you must come to blows this way, fleeing the gods in chaos just for mortal men. No more joy for us in the sumptuous feat when riot rules the day. I urge you, mother, you know that I am right. Work back into his good graces, so the Father, our beloved Father, will never wheel on us again, send our banquets crashing, the Olympian Lord of Lightning. What if he would like to blast us from our seats? He is far too strong. Go back to him, mother, stroke the Father with soft winning words. At once the Olympian will turn kind to us again. Pleading, springing up with the two-handled cup, he reached it toward his loving mother's hands with his own winning words. Patience, mother, grieved as you are, bear up, or dear as you are. I have seen to you, beaten right before my eyes. I would be shattered. And what could I do to save you? It's hard to fight the Olympian strength for strength. You remember the last time I rushed to your defense, he seized my foot, he hurled me off the tremendous threshold, and all day long I dropped, I was dead, wait, and then, when the sun went down, down I plunged on Lemnos, little breath left in me, but the mortals there soon nursed a fallen immortal back to life. At that the white-armed terrorist goddess smiled, and smiling took the cup from her child's hands. Then, dipping sweet nectar up from the mixing bowl, he poured it round to all the immortals left and right. And uncontrollable laughter broke from the happy gods as they watched the god of fire breathing hard and bustling through the halls. That hour then and all day long till the sun went down they feasted, and no god's hunger lacked a share of the handsome banquet. Or the gorgeous lyre Apollo struck, or the muses singing voice to voice in choirs, their vibrant bright music rising. At last, when the sun's fiery light had set, each immortal went to rest in his own house. The splendid high halls his faces built for each, with all his craft and cunning, the famous crippled smith. And Olympian Zeus, the lord of lightning, went to his own bed, where he had always lain when welcome sleep came on him. There he climbed, and there he slept, and by his side lay her the queen, goddess of the golden throne.